'Cause tonight will be the night that I will fall for you. I chimed in with the haven't you people ever heard of? Alright, I'm sorry you had to see that. The things I do for views. But it's also like no one's gonna even see that, so that's why I did it. Welcome to another video. My name is Mike. This is Tragic Mike. Today I want to talk about the rise of conservatism. Now, you can look at the trends in mainstream female fashion to get a sense of where the Overton window is in society, which is basically a measure of how far to the right or left society leans, just for like practical purposes. And between 2016, almost 10 years ago, between 2016 and right now, we've seen a shift from thick winged eyeliner to minimal makeup that looks very almost like there's no makeup. And before you click off and say what's this guy even talking about, that kind of ties into the point I want to make, because it was about last year. It was about last year when Netflix had that Menendez Brothers series going, that even I noticed too that society had moved away from more more expressive, individualistic clothing styles. And even on TikTok, they were talking more about the old money aesthetic and the quiet luxury. And it was around that time that I saw the Menendez Brothers show, and that was a really good representation of that whole lifestyle and that whole sphere of being. And so much so that I went as Nicholas Chavez last year for Halloween. And because I was kind of into, like the Beverly Hills kind of polo club look. But there was also a return to whiteness, if that makes any kind of sense. A return to more Eurocentric ideals. Increased hostility towards illegal, undocumented immigrants, as well as even new hostility to even documented immigrants started to occur. And I saw that, and I realized that kind of path, like how did we go from where we were in 2020 to where we are now? And basically we had become more conservative, and then Donald Trump got elected, and gone were the days of diversity and representation and expression like that. It didn't seem like the mainstream was prioritizing that. And so I said, okay, how do I adapt to this? What do I do? And I said, okay, I could probably get into the old money and the more like the more muted form of self-expression.
In fact, I even think that we should bring back, public executions on certain people. No.
The death penalty takes too long, too many appeals. It should be public, it should be quick, it should be televised.
Remember what BLM stands for: burn, loot, and murder.
So if you had a daughter and she was 10 and she got and she was going to give birth and she would and she was going to give birth and she was going to live, would you want her to go through that and carry her baby?
That's awfully graphic.
But it's a real life scenario that happens to many people.
The answer is yes, the baby would be delivered. Blacks in America did not have the same rights they had today. They were less murderous. There was less break-ins. Why is that? Data shows they were actually better in the 1940s. It was bad. It was evil. But what? If you have white skin color, it's much harder to get into a college than if someone has black skin color. Much harder. Sorry, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified.
Abortion to the Holocaust.
Absolutely, I am. In fact, it's worse. It's worse.
It's really not. I don't think
it's 45 million babies.
I guess I consider myself kind of an ally to the progressive movement. And when I saw takes like that, I just kind of knew that that's not a normal take. 5 years ago, that would not have been an acceptable thing at all. You could lose your job probably for saying something like that. And so I guess I started thinking, how did we, as a progressive movement, lose the white majority? What was it that got us here? And I've been meaning to talk about this, but then I came across this creator. I'm not going to guess that he's Korean, what if I'm wrong? But I came across this creator, and he had these opinions to share.
There's nothing more frightening in America today than an angry white man, says CNN. The US should be more fearful of white men, says a congresswoman. And surprise, surprise, the sludge from this rhetorical swamp trickles down and seeps into the minds of the young. And you hear some young people in America nowadays saying some pretty racist things whenever they have a negative experience with a white person. It's like they're actively trying to erase the white American identity in the name of righting historical wrongs. Whatever racial injustice occurs to white people, you just have to take that. That's not injustice, they say. That's justice with a vengeance.
And he kept talking, and I feel like I've seen that guy talk before about this issue, but what I hear him saying now is very, so much so that if you go on his Instagram, you see me commenting on all of his pictures, but just canceling him. But
Apple stores and Foot Lockers across the country have to brace for justice headed their way. Reverend Sharpton, are you available for an interview? Whoop-de-doo, I sure am. Talking about how the West is this terrible place. And then I'm sure someone might respond like, oh, slavery built this nation. Okay. Picking cotton is not, you know, it's not easy. Picking cotton is not easy. So, shout out to the slaves.
So obviously that guy sucks. But is there any validity to this idea that we haven't been responsible in our discourse towards people who may not have come from backgrounds as progressive as ours, and people who are more used to a more Eurocentric ideal and maybe have not fully understood the alternative, or because I've even talked to people who at first there's this one guy, at first he was very he was afraid of say BLM, for example. And then just through interacting and with people more on the subject, and I guess stepping out of his echo chamber, he learned that it's not an attack on white people, but it's more about trying to uplift this other group to make sure that they also don't get left behind in society. But a lot of online discourse and a lot of voices have really made it seem like there is this attack on whiteness, and not even whiteness as an ideal for sure. This idea that being white is better or pure, that whiteness is not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to just people who just happen to be white, and it feels like even maybe they somehow got the impression that there was this societal move against them. I'm trying to insert a tweet here that I came across, but I'm not finding it. I'll try to find it after. But it's basically someone saying that what kind of got us here was constantly telling, I guess, white people that their opinions don't matter. And, I guess for me, I would see things like, they would say you have no culture, and, just any, making fun of videos of them dancing and saying, wow, there's no seasoning. And someone would say to me oh, well, that's nothing compared to what they've done to everybody else. And I'm like, sure. But a lot of times you probably can lose people who really would have been on your side if you had. You have to understand, how is that going to come? They're not understanding the systemic background to anything. They're just seeing, wow, I'm white, therefore people are saying I'm gonna lose my job, or something that they can say to me, but I can't say to them. And so they're not seeing the history or anything. They're just looking at what's happening right now. And I guess my whole point of this video is what can we do moving forward to ensure that we don't make people feel like we're shutting them out of our progressive movement, because the other side, they don't have an issue at all. They look who they're platforming, and look at the beliefs that they're platforming. So I think at the end of the day, we do sort of need, we can't make people feel like they're inherently criminal and inherently shut out of our movement, is what I'm trying to say. And I was unwilling to even make this video, but then I saw this one guy who had a take that I really respected, and I'm gonna put his little take here now.
See, the solution to racism in America is not white people apologizing for racism that they probably haven't taken part in. It's not about making white people feel guilty or making white people apologize. That's not the answer. The answer is not attacking white people. The answer is not more racial tension. The answer is acknowledging the issues in the country that exist. Hey, I've acknowledged many times on my platform, straight white young men are struggling right now. They're not going to college. They're not graduating. They're not even getting jobs, career paths, skills, trades. They're falling behind. We got to help them. We can't function as a nation if we're all turning on each other in one big Mexican standoff.
And let me know what you guys think. What am I missing? What should I be adding? What should I not have said? Let me know in the comments. Share this video. This channel is I had a channel before and I was doing commentary on it. And it was it was all right. It was like getting there. But it wasn't, I wanted a separate channel just for commentary. And so we're starting this from scratch. And it's a little harder to push into the, the views. So I don't know. We'll see where this video goes. But thank you for watching.